So today is lesson 2, and this lesson is, the page is for the askamas, the approbations for Sefer Tanya. And there's 2 approbations, 2 askamas. One is from Reb Zusha of Anapale, and one is from the Maharil, Reb Yehuda Leib HaKohen. I'm going to focus on the haskama, the approbation from Reb Zusha of Anapale, and the lessons we can learn from that. First of all, because for me, it's very special. I'm named after Reb Zusha, and my father specifically looked into Sefer Tanya and the spelling that Reb Zusha put on a signature before naming me at my bris. The lesson to learn from haskamas, from approbations, is knowing who the person is behind it. And there's many qualities about Reb Zusha. He was a very holy man. He was a very humble person. And he never criticized people by name. He would always, if he was in a position to criticize someone, he would talk to himself. He would say, Zusha, Zusha, why are you doing such and such thing? He didn't have a big following. He wasn't a big rabbi. He wasn't a rebbe of Hasidim. He just lived his life in a very holy and pure way, and he would travel. He was a Talmud of the Maggid, and the Maggid, his rebbe, was in fact younger than him. That's the level of humility he had. The Alter Rebbe was also much younger than him, and they seeked him out to give the haskama, to give the approbation. Now, the haskama of Reb Zusha has 2 amazing qualities. One, he outlines the greatness of the Alter Rebbe. He praises the people that put in the work to bring it to print. And a third quality, where he's warning people not to print it without permission for a minimum of 5 years. And that's where you need to know the person endorsing something. As I said, Reb Zusha was a very humble person. He was a very holy man. He never as much criticized someone personally to their face. When it comes to teaching Torah and guidance from on a moral level, on a conscience level, on a Torah level, on a Jewish level, you want to know who that person is, and make sure that that person really has good intentions, pure intentions in mind before you take their advice. And that lesson goes throughout life for all aspects of life and seeking guidance. When you seek guidance in business, in relationship, in medical things, you want to know the person behind the guidance you're taking. What's their story? What's their struggle? How did they achieve the opinions they have now? If it's business, did they just decide to become a YouTube influencer? Did they build something? Did they fail and rebuild something? Did they learn from their failures? Do they have the humility to admit fault? Can you hear them say, I was wrong about something, and I had to restructure my thought process about this thing? It's about, the approbation is about knowing the person behind it. It's not about the fact that he wrote it, and what he wrote obviously is amazing. But you want to know who's behind it when you're taking that advice. You're taking the referral, you're taking the review, you're taking their words seriously. Because taking advice, guidance, and reference from someone that is not a good person is, every time, will lead you down a dark path. It doesn't matter if the advice sounds good. We know that the internet is full of advice. And every day there's a new story about someone who gave advice and gave motivation and gave inspiration that is arrested, there's a scandal, because we're not digging into who's giving us this advice. So it's very important to know who's giving us advice, so that we can actually take the advice and value it and know that it's coming from the right place. That doesn't give you any guarantees. So you have to daven and pray to Hashem that the advice works. But it's very important to know the person behind the advice. The second lesson that I take from this approbation is, as I said before, Rav Zusha was extremely humble. Every night before he went to sleep, he would say, Zusha, Zusha, today you did not do good. And you're talking about one of the holiest men of his generation. Zusha, Zusha, today you didn't do good, but tomorrow you'll do better. This was someone, the level of humility was just famous. Yet, he understood his value in this specific situation. That if he were to warn people to not do something or to do something, and if he were to tell people that this is a credible text, this is a credible sefer for you to learn from, that people will accept it, and it'll propel the sefer to be widespread, and it'll save it from being reprinted. One of the issues at the time of the printing of the Tanya was that there were mischievous people, opportunistic people, that were printing versions of the Tanya that had, you might say, typing errors, and some that were intentionally feeding false information to kind of put a black eye on the Alter Rebbe, so that people should believe that, God forbid, the Alter Rebbe was teaching people heretical teachings. And that's why he wrote what he did, that nobody's allowed to print it for 5 years without the express written permission of the family. The most humble man of his time knew to take his value and shine it where it was appropriate. And that's for us to also know every day. We get beaten down by life, we get beaten down by criticism, we get beaten down by opinions of us. But we need to take the criticism, take the advice, be humble. But also, when we know without a doubt that we're good at something, we know without a doubt that our intentions are correct, the systems that we built are correct, that when we make an error, we fix it, and that we are good at what we do, and whatever that field is. We don't shrink up and say, maybe not, maybe someone else is better, maybe I shouldn't open up a company, maybe I shouldn't provide a service, maybe I shouldn't apply for this job, maybe I shouldn't do whatever it is. No. Have the confidence. Stand up. God gave us all individual gifts where we can shine. Some of us do it in finance, others do it with our hands, whether it's physical work, labor, construction, plumbing, electric, or it's art. Some of us are speakers, some of us are actuaries, accountants, real estate investors, diamond dealers, shoe sellers, whatever it is. We all have a gift. And if we tune into that gift and we're good at it, don't shrink down. That's not the time to be humble. That's not the time to think maybe someone's better than me. Maybe someone is better than me. But I can provide a value to someone out there that someone else won't add a value to. And because we all have a responsibility to go out and earn a living, we all have a responsibility to provide for our families. We also have a responsibility to tap in and lean in to our talents and shine and embrace confidence and say no to the inner voices and the outer voices, the naysayers of in and out, and move forward and push forward repeatedly again and again and again in order so that we can do what we need to do in this world. And that, to me, is the lesson that you take from this approbation. these approbations, these askamas from Reb Zusha on the Tanya.